I know that there's like a lot of Jenn Omegaverse fic out there, which I think is really interesting. I mean, like GEN, not JE.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it doesn't always have to be sexual, and I think that's a lot of people's hang up on it. Is they're like, we're not always sexual. And I'm like, no, some people just like wolves a whole bunch.
Yeah, it's definitely not always. I feel like I had something else to add on to that. Not always. Oh, okay. Well, I talked about a fic that I read. And in case you might have to throw in the name because it's a fic I would usually never have read because it was Omegaverse. It was Destiel, but also had Dean/Ketch, which is I'm just not interested in Ketch as a person usually. So I clicked on it anyway. I gave it a chance, and it was a little smut heavy. I wasn't really feeling it, but I got to the second chapter, and there was a point. It's like maybe 2 chapters, so I think that's why I was like, you know what? I'm already in 1 chapter to this 2-chapter fic. I'll just read it. But there was a point where like Dean's having a little freak attack about being in a relationship with a man, and Cass just goes, "It's okay, Dean. We all fall in our own time." And I have not known a moment's peace since I read that. I'm like, I don't know how we got here, but here we are. That line has stayed with me.
I was going to say, I don't know what cake you're talking about, but I will say it reminded me. I think it's important to note that I haven't seen any new episodes of Supernatural 2015. So I haven't seen from like season 11 on.
Oh, well, I've seen even less than that. Don't worry.
Fantastic.
I'm really worried about the rewrite because the whole reason why Cass has amnesia the whole time is because I'm like, well, there, now he doesn't need to know 15 seasons, but now I gotta figure it out. I have some ideas, but it's really just me and like the 2 different Supernatural Wikipedias against the world.
It's a rewrite, so like, do whatever you want. It's canon universe, but non-canon compliant.
I sit with the Supernatural Wiki open to the transcripts all the time. Like, just give me the transcripts.
Yeah. Eventually, I have to finish this series because I have like 3 more seasons.
Yeah, Meredith hasn't seen past season 12, and she's committed to doing this to the end. So.
Oh yeah. Eventually, I'll watch it.
My friend was bullying me, and she was like, "Jen, what happens in season 12? Give me a summary." And I'm like, is Jack in that one? Is Amara in that one? I'm just tossing out names. I'm like, I don't fucking know. Is Mary back yet? Who's dead? No clue. Not even like a whiff of an idea in my brain. So
you don't need to know because like last I remember, we still had Charlie and Kevin.
No,
and
I
that's
think
how
we
it's
still do.
Stay.
No, I think we still do.
Absolutely, we do.
It's also just really embarrassing because I haven't like seen important episodes. Like I know you like Lazarus Rising. It's a great episode, right? You want to know when I like sat down and watched the whole episode, not just like the barn scene on YouTube? Last year. I already wrote 250,000 words of this fic centered around Dean and Cass. Well, I saw The Man Who Would Be King like 2 months ago.
Don't remember that episode at all.
It's one of my favorites. I'm not gonna lie. It's what I want for my second tattoo. I already have my first 2 tattoos planned out. That's the second one.
I mean, I will say Ben popped off on that one. As soon as like the old like film reels start popping, I was like, ooh, what is this? This is like actually good. So, yeah.
It took me 6 years to watch Supernatural, and then I rage quit at the end of season 13, like between commercial breaks. I rage quit over something that was solved by the next commercial break. And then I didn't watch Supernatural for like 6 months, and then I started from the beginning, and then I think I was about 3 or 4 seasons in when I found out that Supernatural was ending. So I just watched it to the end, and here we all are.
Nice work. I would not have done that. I do not have that strength.
Yeah,
it wasn't so much strength as it was I was doing school online, and there was a pandemic, and I was also working from home, and I threw myself into Supernatural as a distraction from all of that, and it accidentally became like 20 hours of my week every week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was watching it on Netflix, and I got up to season 12, and then they didn't have the next season, so I didn't watch it for a while. And then I just didn't start watching it again until KJ started this podcast.
Wait, so are you like caught up on like the entire series, or you still haven't seen those last 2 seasons?
Still haven't seen the last few seasons, but I was on Tumblr the day that the last episode came out, and I was like, oh my gosh, this show exists! Oh crap!
Yeah.
There's so much chaos. No one's happy.
Yeah.
November 5th, 2020, and then the fallout from that, like the next day. I think of that fondly, not because of what happened, but because of the internet's reaction to it. One of the best days, right? It was so good to be on the internet death that day, and it was like so good to still be on Tumblr. I was so, because I had never unfollowed all the Supernatural blogs that I followed back in 2013, and so it was a barrage. I was just getting assaulted by that meme that I use all the time still.
I was on season 14.
It was like truly like the Renaissance. It was the Renaissance moment.
Yeah, I wasn't even following any Supernatural blogs, and I still got so much Supernatural content. Like, that's just how much there was.
It was like another Apocalypse.
Well, it is the Supernatural website. Tumblr is the Supernatural website. It's for that show.
Yeah.
I was on season 14 when that happened, and I had never seen the end of season 13 or season 14 or season 15. So, like, season 15 was airing, obviously, and I was actively trying to avoid spoilers. I had a couple of minor things spoil for me. There was no avoiding that, though. I was really excited this year when the 1-year anniversary of that came around this year. I was really looking forward to it, and then the day hit, and I was hit with this overwhelming, like, upset that was how it ended. Like, excitement that it happens, but, like, anger that at the barrier gaze of it all.
I try not to think too much about it.
Yeah, I don't think about it.
Yeah, I mean, you just wrote a solution to it, so it's fine.
Cass listens to Fiona Apple. It's a great time for me. You know, he has this little blue Honda Civic that he drives around. So many, like, fun little things that you could put, like, in that show. Just shove all the Supernatural, like, female characters that are recurring, like, in the show, like, in this story. It's great. So
that is the thing that I love so much about fanfic is, like, seeing that, like, the little things that people will pick up and run with, you know? Like, so, like, Cass and bees. It's not that big of a thing in the show, is it? Like, I know he says, I don't fight anymore. I watch the bees. And then there's the whole, he showed up naked on my car covered in bees thing.
Yeah,
like,
that's pretty much it.
Yeah. And everybody's like, Cass loves bees. Like, that's just a thing. Like, he has, you know, like, after they get him back from the empty or whatever, they, you know, what if it, like, him and Dean had a little garden, and there's bees in it, and they're just having a great time with that. I'm like, yeah, that's so true. That is canon. That is canon.
Absolutely.
Also, the fun thing about Cass and bees is that bees, for a very long time, have also been associated with Jesus and, like, Christianity by extension. Also, in the Merovingian era in, like, France and Germany, they were associated with kingship.
That is probably a big part of the reason why the writers did throw in all the bee stuff in season 7. But I love every time I see, like, Sam or Dean buying Cass, like, bee-related items. It just makes my heart happy.
Yeah. I think I snuck a bee into, like, my story. And sometimes I'll even reference, like, other Destiel fics kind of within the larger story, for sure. And anytime, like, the season will end, too, because now there's been, like, several seasons. I'm like, all right, guys, what do you want to see? Like, I have my own, like, idea for things, but sometimes there will be small details that I'm like, we're putting that in there.
Yep.
So I always think that's so fun. Like, how can I, like, start sneaking these things in?
Yeah, I wrote my own 1520 Fix It, and after Sam and Dean get Cass back from the empty, Cass is just, like, kind of, like, hanging out wearing Dean's clothes, and Sam buys him, like, a big chunky, like, knit sweater with a bee on it, and he and Cass start a garden together because, you know, Dean's like, I am not into the gardening, but you two, you do that. And, like, it just makes me happy.
Yeah, Sam and Cass need to hang out more, for sure. I definitely like playing with that, too, because I know, like, obviously, like, Dean and Cass, like, occupy my brain 85% of the time, but I also am, like, Cass needs to be friends with, like, every single person he meets. Like, he just needs to hit it off every time, because I look at him and I'm like, he's a friend, you know?
Yeah, he's friend shade.
I think some readers have said it's a running joke at this point, because in, like, the rewrite, I mean, the whole thing is kind of them building this community, and so they keep all of these allies that they have instead of just being, like, two brothers on the road. It's like, now we got, like, 10 people now that can help us out. But a lot of them kind of get it, like, folded into the circle because of Cass. Like, Sam and Dean's stories are a bit more static with how canon is, so Cass has more freedom to move around in this world. But yeah, there's just a lot of situations where he just talks to someone and is just very, like, forthright, whatever, kind, polite, and they're like, we love that guy. I'm like, as it should be. As it should be. There were too many times in the show where people just didn't like him for no fucking reason.
I fucking get so heated as like Cass slander. Obviously, I'm a Cass girly. Obviously, that's who I am as a person. But like, if anybody has muted him ever, and it makes me want to throttle them.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
I was so obsessed with him when he first showed up, and I actually have a little figurine of him on my desk.
Yeah, I have an accidental shrine.
I love it.
I did want to ask what everybody's, like, Sam, Dean, Cass codedness girlies are. There was a quiz that was kind of going around, and I think it will surprise no one to know that I'm a Sam coded Cass girl. I do very much consider myself a Sam girl, but Cass is definitely, like, right up there.
So I've taken it a couple of times because I keep on getting different answers. So on occasion, I am a Dean-coded cast girl, and then sometimes I am a cast-coded Dean girl. So I'm just going to say I'm a Dean cast-coded cast Dean girl.
I took it 3 times this week. I was Sam-coded cast girl every time.
The consistency.
Okay, I don't know. Just by looking at the characters, I think I have pieces of all of them. I'm a know-it-all younger sibling, like Sam. I don't want to talk about my emotions with anyone like Dean, and I'm neuroatypical like Sam, like Cass behaves.
Why I like him so? Oh my gosh!
I can't. I feel like I haven't taken that sort of test in a while, but I feel like it was a Dean-coded cast girl. I will say when I'm writing, usually Dean's like the easiest to write, just because he's like kind of more funny and has like a lot of pop culture references. But I will have to go back and edit because he does sound a little bit like a 20-something-year-old woman, like a little bit too much, like a little too many like like sneak in there, and then I gotta be like, all right, let's take that out.
That's what editing's for. It's magical.
Yeah, that's always funny too when I have to like switch dialogue. And originally, like Dean was saying something, instead I have to switch it, and like Cass is saying it or Sam's saying it because they always talk. They talk a little bit differently. But yeah, I should probably retake that. I'll retake it and post it on Twitter, and we'll see what we get.
Yeah, it's been floating around, and yeah, I did take it 3 times. I got the same result every time. I'm like, okay, guess that's who I am. Something was in my brain, and then it fell out of my brain. Nope, it's gone. Whatever it was.
Must have been wonderful.
Probably. Or it was nothing. Who knows?
I was going to say, so you were talking about like I don't know what, I think we were talking about like the things that we pick out from canon to like put in canon compliant fics that people just run with. One of my favorite things about AUs is that like authors will frequently sneak little pieces of, because I did, right? They'll sneak little pieces of their personality and their likes into fics, and they're like, I'm going to make Cass like Abba because, I like Abba, and like that's a thing now. I love that so much. Just like making them like things because you like things, making them not like things you don't like things. Like the fic that I'm writing right now, it's set in Alabama because that's where I live.
Yeah, why not?
That's like, yeah, there's no base for this except for the fact that I live here and I won't have to do any research.
Yeah, there it is. That's so true. I put them all in like New England way more often than in the show, for sure, because I'm from Connecticut. So I'm like, there we go. There he is.
The novel I'm writing is set in an area that's very similar to the one that KJ and I grew up in.
Yep.
So no research at all.
Yeah,
all I have to do is
fine.
add some fairies.
Honestly, I feel like the most research I do is like just constantly opening Google Maps. And I'm like, how long is it from like, this part of Florida to like this next case they have to go on? How many hours are they in the car? What route are they taking? Because I always describe that, and it's like, that's the most.
There's not enough Florida in the show. Just like not enough Florida.
Florida's so crazy. They gotta go out there more often. Get some swamp monsters.
I forget where we talked about this, but wasn't like the only episode set in Florida Mystery Spot? So
Yep.
it was too
It's the only one out of 327 episodes. Mystery Spot is the only one that's in Florida.
I feel like there was only one Connecticut episode, though. I feel like it was like Playthings. Maybe there was one other one, but I also felt very shafted. So again, I'm like, you're over here now.
Playthings is so good, though.
Yeah.
It is.
I was gonna say, they're not in the South in general a lot in the show, are they? Because naturally,
I think it's because they can't make Vancouver look like this.
it's valid.
It rains so much here. I say here, so we're not like hundreds of kilometers away.
Yeah, we're across the country.
But you know where else it can possibly rain a lot? Like fucking Maine.
Yeah.
How many times does Maine show up, huh?
I mean, if you go to Maine, you can make lots of Stephen King references, and Dean would love that.
Yeah. Actually, they made a lot of Stephen King references in Playthings, which was set in Connecticut. They were like, we're close enough. We gotta do it. I'm sick of this.
Season 2 really was a Stephen King referencing era, and you know what? I love that.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah. I mean, actually, even the references, right? Like how Berklie was saying, putting in different headcanons. I think it's so fun to see references that people will make too, because this is a very heavy, like a show that very heavily references pop culture. So some writers will also implement that in their works, and it's so fun to see what they talk about. I love like going through, especially if they leave a little author's note and they're like, oh, this was a joke from whatever, So I always will get a laugh out of that.
This I feel like might be, it can't just be Supernatural, the Supernatural fandom. It must be other fandoms as well, but I feel like very specifically the Supernatural fandom fits this. Where a lot of people are writing fanfic because the writers don't deliver. And people look at it and they can go, we can do this better. And a lot of times, yeah, they can.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
No one is happy with anything Star Wars, apparently.
That is so true. Was that on Twitter earlier? Berklie might have actually made that tweet. Pull up your Twitter account right now. Let's look. But wasn't it something like that where it's like Euphoria is like a cultural phenomenon, or at least it kind of was a few ago? There's no fanfics for it. Like Stranger Things. I was talking about Stranger Things